MIT warns 95% of AI investments bring no returns as OpenAI faces backlash over ChatGPT 5 and Meta cuts AI unit staff, once hailed as revolutionary. Anyway, artificial intelligence is now drawing comparisons to the dot-com bubble amid rising doubts and investor jitters. MIT report 95% of generative AI pilots at companies are failing. Oh, man, that's so shocking. Good morning. Companies are... Throughout my career as a professional media broadcaster, there have been numerous instances where people have come to me and said, Hasan, I'm trying to get into insert specific fraudulent industry. One of the major ones was NFTs. Not only were early adopters constantly trying to give me money so I could huck out and farm NFTs to my audience, which I, of course, chose not to do because clearly that was busted and it was fraudulent from the get-go, and scam coins alike. There was a lot of people in that process that kept yelling at me and said, you just don't want me to make money. You're socialist piece of shit. Seems like you're just scared that we're going to get rich and hate you. No, it was because I did not want to use the power and influence that I have over a large audience for evil to line up my goddamn wallet. That's the reason why I didn't do it. Because I saw it for what it is. A scam. Well, here's another bubble. Here's another scam that I called out that many people have yelled at me for. The overemphasis placed upon LLMs in general. It's about to pop. As a scam engineer, I believe not is future-proof. The same people that slapped NFTs and Web 3.0 onto every goddamn grift that they were trying to line up, weirdly enough, moved on to AI. So strange that the exact same people, like using the same language, they cut out Web 3.0 and slapped on AI instead. Is so odd. And people just fell for it, just like they had fallen for the cryptocurrency grift. I remember when the NFT chatters tried to get you to register the deed to your house as an NFT. You need to set up an example of how we can decentralize the concept of home ownership was how they pushed for it. Yep. Yeah, bro knows ball. Anyway, is there a good video that we can watch about the AI bubble popping a little bit? No, you don't get it, dude. We're about to have AGI. Please, bro. We're not out of ideas. I promise. Just one more data center, bro. Next model will be fire, bro. I promise. AI is so dangerously unstable and so volatile as like a new vector that we are fully investing into. It was genuinely alarming. Yeah, I've talked to Ed Zitron about this issue before. It was genuinely shocking how much Donald Trump was actively moving into this like totally fake. Even after one of the first things that happened was the first bubble pop, or at least the deflation of the AI bubble, when China came out with a market competitor that was done with pennies on the dollar. I don't know if you like him.
It's Graham here, and I think it's about time that we talk about something that probably has crossed all of...
Yeah, I think it's a false start like the dot-com bubble and will come back in a few years when the tech is matured. So you don't think it's going to replace jobs? No, the sad part about it is that it doesn't have to be good for it to replace jobs, because there are plenty of jobs that it could replace. Jobs don't necessarily mean that you shouldn't have those jobs, but there's a lot of jobs that like a LLM could technically replace. And even if it's incompetent and even if it's busted, capital owners make this calculation at the point of profit. The example I will give you is shrink in the grocery stores. Okay? Shrink is an ever-present problem in the grocery store business. The margins are really thin in the grocery store business. They always complain. Okay? Just-in-time manufacturing and limited supply chains, so to ensure that there is not a lot of stock in the back offices of grocery stores, not a lot of warehousing, right? All of that has created this low profit margin industry, as they like to say. There's been tremendous market consolidation. All of that stuff is very real. There's e-commerce that have played a formative role here too. Now, grocery stores, by and large, have decided through industry consolidation and through price leadership to take on an initiative that you are all too familiar with. This is called self-checkout. Now, self-checkout is great for profit margins, even though it has its very clear downsides. When you do self-checkout, instead of hiring a grocery store clerk, a cash register operative, right? You don't have to pay for their benefits, no hazard pay, potentially. You don't have to pay those wages. All of a sudden, a machine is taking over that duty. But of course, the downside of self-checkout is what is known as the 5-finger discount, okay? People that just go on self-checkout and go, one for me, one for you, and they just steal. But that calculation is done by the companies ahead of time, where even if it increases shrink, even if it contributes to increase in shrink, which is the number of perishable items that get destroyed in the process of travel, or grocery store items that are stolen by people, consumers, and even stolen by the workers themselves, they make up more by automating that process with self-checkout. And ironically, in that same process, they make one cashier do the job of like 12, and it sucks, and it's a worse consumer experience overall, okay? But they shred a massive chunk of payroll, massive chunk of wages, massive chunk of benefits, and massive chunk of liabilities, okay? It's also just mistakes, not just theft. Yes, mistakes as well. Massive chunk of liabilities, and therefore they come out on top. They've made this calculation, and the same goes for AI. AI is always going to fuck up. It hallucinates. It's not as reliable, even though human beings are unreliable, okay? Even though human beings are unreliable, AI is even less reliable at times than a human being. There's no like safeguards in it, right? But it seems to me like a lot of capital owners are making that similar calculation here, where they go, let's just make AI do the shit that 10 people were doing and put one person in charge of overseeing the AI, and have that person, that singular person's output reflect 10 people's output now. And if there are problems along the way, massively consequential problems along the way, maybe it'll be maybe that'll reflect in like a, end of the year report 2 years down the line. Who knows? It's a gamble. But that's what it is. It doesn't have to work well. As a matter of fact, it doesn't. And everybody knows it doesn't. But it doesn't matter. It offloads accountability to a computer, like in the case with the lavender targeting system that Israel is utilizing. Okay, so then there's plausible deniability. Oh, the machine told me which targets to strike. It's not my fault, right? And on top of that, it's not supposed to work right in that circumstance. Like in the case with the UHC. UHC was doing claim denials, and it was notorious for being the worst at claim denials as a private insurance company. And they utilized AI to do it because UHC did not care about doing adequate claim denials, because the job is to literally just deny all claims anyway. That's it. Now, of course, the downside of that is that a lot of those appeals are won because the machine is busted at doing claim denials. That's a more costly endeavor in the long run. But in the short term, if your goals are short-term profit seeking, or rather improving the company's stocks, improving the company's stock performance, wiping out an entire chunk of like humans that were were working in the process of claim denials, is fantastic. It reflects fantastic in the short term, even if it is consequential and a bad decision in the long term. No one ever cares about long-term stability, okay? It's a quarter-to-quarter basis. So understand, this is how AI displaces the existing labor force. It doesn't have to be good. It can be bad. In some instances, it is required to be bad anyway. But capital owners are making that calculation with short-term profits in mind. That's it. But nowadays, a lot of the artificial boosting of the stock prices that came out of their hyper-focus on AI is leading to some serious issues. And it seems like the AI bubble is bursting a little bit.
All of our minds, and that would
Let's hear from Graham Stephan. I don't know why he's this is the most surprising person to talk about the AI bubble bursting a little bit.
Are we in a stock market bubble? After all, in the last week, we've just risen to brand new record highs. The Buffett indicator is flashing its most overvalued levels ever in history. Retail traders are once again flooding into the markets, and the AI boom is now officially bigger than the dot-com bubble. Or I guess in other words, the market's currently believed to be grossly overvalued, given that meme stocks are starting to make a comeback and investors are beginning to speculate on anything that they can. So given the nervousness and excitement over today's prices, we should talk about exactly what's happening, the likelihood of another stock market drop coming sometime soon, and then how you could best prepare ahead of time to make the most of the situation. Because I promise, at some point, there will be another stock market drop and bear market. And even though we can't predict it every single time, if you just know what to look out for, you could potentially make a lot of money. But really quick, if you find this helpful, it would mean the world to me if you hit the like button or subscribe if you haven't done that already. I know it's stupid for me to keep asking for it, but it does help out tremendously. And as a thank you for doing that, here's a picture of a hermit crab. So thanks so much, and also a big thank you to the Gemini credit card for sponsoring this video, but more on that later. Alright, so first, in order to understand how to best prepare for something like this, we should first cover the severity of the crashes that have happened in the past. Because even though it's easy to think,
It's been triggered by Altman referencing the AI bubble at a recent talk coupled with this MIT report. MIT warns 95% of AI investments bring no returns as OpenAI faces backlash over ChatGPT 5 and Meta cuts AI unit staff, once hailed as revolutionary. I like that we're so tuned into Israel news that like chatters now send me Ynet reporting on shit that's happening in America. Like how the did we get here, dude? You didn't have an outlet that's not. You didn't have a non-Israeli outlet to send me? That's crazy. Anyway, artificial intelligence is now drawing comparisons to the dot-com bubble amid rising doubts and investor jitters. MIT report 95% of generative AI pilots at companies are failing. Oh, man, that's so shocking. Good morning. Companies are betting on AI, yet nearly all enterprise pilots are stuck at the starting line. The Gen AI Divide, State of AI Business in 2025, a new report published by MIT's NANDA initiative reveals that while generative AI holds promise for enterprises, most initiatives drive rapid revenue growth are falling flat. Despite the rush to integrate powerful new models, about 5% of AI pilot programs achieve rapid revenue acceleration. The vast majority stall, delivering little to no measurable impact on P&L. The research, based on 150 interviews with leaders, a survey of 350 employees, and an analysis of 300 public AI deployments, paints a clear divide between success stories and stalled projects. To unpack these findings, I spoke with Aditya Chalapalli, the lead author of the report and a research contributor to Project Nanda at MIT. Some large companies, pilots, and younger startups are really accelerating with generative AI, Chalapalli said. Startups led by 19 to 20-year-olds, for example, have seen revenues jump from 0 to 20 million in a year. Okay, but like even that in and of itself, is that an indicator of like performance? I know that this is the only thing that we care about is like generating revenues, but from 0 to 20 million a year in revenues is seen as like a tremendous thing, right, for a startup. But this is literally what happened with Silicon Valley, with the Silicon Valley bubbles in the past as well. Especially because like a lot of the revenue they're talking about is usually either unsustainable, short-lived, or I don't think you really understand what's going on here with AI, to be honest. Maybe. My attitude on this stuff is that what people think are AI, what people have falsely presented as artificial intelligence, is nothing but a Google chatbot for the most part. It's more it has better capabilities than a Google chatbot, but it is a chatbot at the end of the day. And not only is it a chatbot, but it's also manipulated and also easily tweaked centrally. And you see negative backlash with ChatGPT 5, for example, because it's no longer as servile. But it's ultimately just like it's giving you what you want. That's it. It's not like a self-thinking mechanism that is truly artificial intelligence or anything like that. It's not even half the time, or not half the time, but like in the beginning, it wasn't even like actual AI either. Sometimes they would just like delegate the task to like some Indian farm where they just have a bunch of dudes working for like pennies on the dollar doing the moderation, and then they claim that it's actually AI. It's all, a lot of it is just marketing. Maybe I'm wrong. I am a boomer after all, and I am willing to entertain that I might be wrong on this. But I've been very critical about the way people present artificial intelligence and what it looks like and what it can be used for right now.
Yesterday.
Oh yeah, ChatGPT 5 is here. Can it win back programmers? Anyway, it's because they pick one pain point, execute well, and partner smartly with companies who use their tools. But for 95% of companies in the data set, generative AI implementation is falling short. Like, the reason why this is a $0 to $20 million success story could easily be because the dude, the 19-year-old, networked well and marketed their product well enough to get a dumbass company with a little bit of additional revenue to dump $20 million into their company, but it's actually not yielding any sort of like significant positive results for the company that bought into it. But if you look at that as a point of like a massive revenue generation and a huge success story, then yeah, sure. Like, companies get, especially in a like very marketable new sector like this, there are going to be a lot of companies that actually do short-term cash infusions. It's because they pick one pain point, execute well. But for 95% of companies in the data set, generative AI implementation has fallen short. The core issue, not the quality of the AI models, but the learning gap for both tools and organizations. While executives often blame regulation or model performance, MIT's research points to flawed enterprise integration. Generic tools like ChatGPT excel for individuals because of their flexibility, but they stall in enterprise use since they don't learn from or adapt to workflows, Chalapali explained. The data also reveals a misalignment in resource allocation. More than half of generative AI budgets are devoted to sales and marketing tools, yet MIT found the biggest ROI in back office automation, eliminating business process outsourcing, cutting external agency costs, and streamlining operations. What's behind the successful AI deployments? How companies adopt AI is crucial. Purchasing AI tools from special... Okay, this is just like literally defending AI and simultaneously saying it's just the company's fault that they're not using it they're not using it with the appropriate use case. You aren't wrong. 64% of AI investment into AI
in
from venture capitals, but
2025,
70% are unprofitable. I mean, that's just VCs though in general.
64% of all venture capital in the US has been allocated to artificial intelligence startups.
Venture capital investment in artificial intelligence hit $50 billion in the second quarter, accounting for nearly half of all VC funding.
Companies like OpenAI were valued at $300 billion without even being profitable or publicly traded.
OpenAI at $300 billion, is that too expensive? Is it a deal?
In 2024 alone, Google, Amazon, and Meta spent over $400 billion on AI infrastructure or startups.
A $20 billion pledge from Amazon to build artificial intelligence innovation campuses.
However, 70% of these funded AI startups still do not generate real revenue. This has raised alarms among some experts who claim that the AI boom could be turning into a bubble, like the dot-com bubble of the early 2000s.
Hype cycles come and go. The metaverse, Web3, crypto. What about the mother of all tech cycles, the dot-com bubble and burst? So right now, are we in the middle of another one with the generative AI and ChatGPT?
So, how AI became the new dot-com bubble. The dot-com bubble was an economic phenomenon that took place between the mid-1990s and the early 2000s. During that period, the mass adoption of the internet sparked a surge of investment in nascent web-based companies, just as is happening now with the AI boom. The NASDAQ Composite rose nearly 400% from 1995 to March 2000, only to crash 78% by October 2002, essentially wiping out all the gains from that period. Venture capitalists and speculators invested without considering real business models, and many companies went bankrupt after burning through their funding without generating profits. Today, the world is experiencing a new technological boom, the explosion of AI.
Over the past decade, we've become surrounded by AI systems that perceive our worlds, that support our...
Unc HasanAbi, do you remember the dot-com bubble? Bro, I was like 0, okay? What the f? It was between the ages of 0 and like 8 for me. How the f would I... Y'all are ass, dude. Y'all are savage. Y'all are ruthless for this.
Decisions and that mimic our ability to create.
Since the public launch of ChatGPT in late 2022, investor attention has surged. Global funding for AI startups rose from $18 billion in 2014 to $119 billion in 2021. And by 2023, generative AI accounted for nearly 30% of that total investment in the United States. In the first half of 2025, investments in AI represented 64.1% of the total value of venture capital transactions in the US. This has triggered warnings and comparisons to the dot-com bubble. The enthusiasm for artificial intelligence has sparked an unprecedented wave of investment. For example, OpenAI was valued at $300 billion in April 2025 without even being publicly traded. Anthropic, its direct competitor, is seeking to raise an additional $5 billion, despite its products not yet generating revenue.
Amazon is reportedly considering deepening its ties with the AI startup Anthropic through a new multi-billion-dollar investment.
In the first quarter of 2025, the 4 largest venture capital deals in the U.S. were AI-related, totaling $26.6 billion. This capital concentration is reminiscent of the dot-com bubble frenzy, when funds flowed to companies with no finished products solely because of the allure of emerging technology. Big tech companies have responded to this euphoria with an arms race to acquire talent and infrastructure. AI engineer salaries have skyrocketed, with compensation packages reaching $100 million.
Money is so fake, bro. Money is the most fake thing on the planet. It's never been more fake than it is now, though.
Especially in Silicon Valley.
So OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, he says that Meta is trying to poach its top engineers, offering what he called $100 million sign-on bonuses.
Google, Microsoft, and Meta are projecting a combined spending of $405 billion on AI infrastructure by 2026. This figure doubles previous estimates and represents a jump of over 13% compared to the previous year. Alphabet, for example, announced it will allocate more than $85 billion annually to its artificial intelligence projects. This has had a ripple effect on financial markets. Currently, the tech sector accounts for 34% of the S&P 500 index, an even higher proportion than during the peak of the dot-com bubble in 2000. But despite the enthusiasm, most generative AI products have yet to demonstrate a truly large-scale revolutionary impact. While they may be useful tools, their transformative potential is still up for debate.
We're not saying here that AI isn't leading to be productive. We're just saying that AI tools, yes, they're here and they're being used. The payoff may be more uneven than the...
Remember when companies were just adding blockchain to their name and making millions off of it? Yeah. No, this is the same. It's the same companies.
Hype suggests.
Many users report that these models provide inaccurate, shallow, or outright incorrect responses. In practice, generative AI has proven more effective in supporting repetitive tasks than in disrupting entire processes. This has led to a disconnect between the futuristic promises made by companies, such as replacing 80% of administrative jobs, and tangible results. Moreover, much of the value of these startups is based on expectations of future revenue that have yet to materialize. Revenue projections are, in many cases, speculative. According to data from CB Insights, more than 70% of AI startups that received funding in 2023 and 2024 still do not generate operating profits. Added to this is the fact that talent and early-stage company acquisitions by large corporations have increased by 40% in 2025. In other words, returns on investment remain uncertain, raising doubts about the sustainability of this speculative wave. In addition, the productivity gains from AI are being questioned.
Tech giants like Microsoft and Google are...
It's just like, this is the end result of a financialized economy where every company is just a bank and every bank is a casino and everyone is participating in the speculative market. And the fundamentals are entirely out of whack. Like this is what it is. It's just the expectation that like someone else is gonna hold the bag on the other side. And as a chatter also pointed out, like yes, companies engage in bad bets, and when they do that, the bet is to displace the existing labor force. And when that bet fails, the workers that remain also get over because now the company doesn't even have enough money coming in. They've lost too much money. So you're doubly first, you're if you get fired. And if you're lucky enough to not get fired, then you're doing other people who were fired's jobs for them. And then when the bet fails, you're fired anyway. Like, I don't understand it. But then again, I don't even have a credit card. So you can, I guess, quickly say, Hasan, you don't know what the you're talking about. Like for me, this is like listening to music. I don't listen to music, you know? So don't listen to anything I have to say on that front. I'm just talking shit. But when it comes to this stuff, it's just like from the outside looking in, it feels like, bro, I know. I covered it. I covered the DFL unendorsing Omar Fateh. I covered it for like an hour. God damn, chatters. Yes, I'm bringing back shaking chatters. I'm shaking this one. You're being shook. You're being shook. Anyway, my point is, what are the fundamentals? The only thing that people care about is just broad confidence that they will make money down the line. That's it. That's it. That's the only impactful part of this. And even if a company actually has no fundamentals whatsoever and is consistently overpromising and underdelivering by lying to shareholders about what their future initiatives are going to look like, as long as there are enough institutional investors that are also reliant on the stock price going up, Tesla, then eventually you can kind of overcome any number of difficulties that other companies would immediately go bankrupt over. You could just be like, yeah, next year we're going to have automated robots wipe your ass for you in the Teslas that you're driving. And then immediately after making that revelation, your stock price jumps. And everyone's like, oh my God, I can't wait for that. That's going to be so sick. And then that never happens. And you're just like, yeah, I lied about that. And it doesn't matter because by that point, you've moved on to the next lie. This time, we're rolling out the suck bot. It's going to suck your dick while you're driving the Tesla. And the Tesla's being driven by the suck bot. It's Roadhead, you know? And then everyone goes, oh my God, it's great. I totally forgot about the asswipe bot that you also suggested was going to happen anytime now, and it never actually came to fruition.
We're outsourcing more and more coding to AI in a productivity push, but some new research shows the tools might not be as helpful as some expect.
Another troubling symptom is the disconnect between stock prices and economic fundamentals. NVIDIA, one of the largest AI chip suppliers, lost nearly 17% of its market value in a single day after the release of an
Big dog, please look at my previous message.
Open source model promising similar results. Although NVIDIA has greatly benefited from the AI boom, this event showed how volatile current valuations are, where future expectations...
Oh yeah, here's what's not vibes.
I can't live in my...
If you want to know, like, the actual consequences of this AI boom that is that we're all experiencing and is wonderful. Now you can jerk off the food porn that you made yourself with generative AI. Well, this lady can't drink the water. This lady's water supply is gone. It's dusted.
I can't live in my home with half of my home functioning and no water, and I can't drink the water.
Just 400 meters away from Beverly Morris's home in rural Georgia, Meta, Instagram and Facebook's parent company, has built a giant data center. A private well is Beverly's only source of water. But since construction began on the data center, the well water has turned murky. The sediment you see, that's from her taps. And she says it wasn't there before.
The water won't come through the water lines to fill the toilet tank, so I have to fill it with a bucket of water. It's plugged with sediment.
Beverly believes the construction is to blame, but Meta denies this.
No one should have to be afraid to drink their water.
America is a first world country, by the way. Remember, it's a developed nation, by the way. Remember. Hell yeah, baby. Third world country with a Gucci belt. 100 P, dude. 100 P is awesome.
Not in this day, not in this age.
Meta says it commissioned an independent study that found its data center operation had not adversely affected groundwater conditions in the area. But Beverly just isn't convinced.
Meta is a $1 trillion industry, and they're huge. To me, it's like David and Goliath.
Data centers like this are being...
Yeah, imagine losing your drinking water to Meta, the worst chatbot out of all of them. No, you don't understand, dude. It's the future, baby. It's there's nothing new here. There's nothing good that comes out of this. And the only tangible consequences are negative to the people who have to live next to these data centers. That's just poisoning their water supply. Fantastic. I love this future. Techno utopia, baby.
Being built around the world, especially in Georgia, one of the fastest growing data center hubs in the US. They power AI tools like ChatGPT and require a lot of water to stay cool.
Yeah, everyone is Israel. We investigated ourselves, and guess what? Now you might be shocked, but we found no wrongdoing. Yeah. Check back with us in 15 years when you're growing gills out of the side of your nipple. When we go, oopsie, oops. Yeah. Here's $10,000 for you to shut the up. Oh, I'm sorry. Did every single member of your family develop late stage bone cancer? Nah, here's $10,000 for you to shut the up. Yeah. EPA budget $1 a year. Great stuff, man.
Can collapse with an unexpected competitive breakthrough. On top of that, there is a risk of financial contagion. The excitement over AI has pushed other speculative assets upward, including cryptocurrencies, echoing the asset correlation phenomenon during the dot-com bubble. Back then, the NASDAQ...
This anti-AI is so baffling. Like, I don't get you people. Do you just want humanity to not advance? You're anti-tech progress? The Grifter 132, are you a bot? All I need to know is the way that you're... All I need to know about... I'm real as... Ask him to solve a CAPTCHA. He can't because he's a bot. Explain the hate, please. What do you mean? What do you mean? Everything is busted. Everything is broke. We just watched a woman go, hey, I can't use the running water in my home anymore because a multi-trillion-dollar corporation decided to build a data center right next to my house, and it's literally poisoning me. What are we talking about? What advancement is that making? It's official. Woke equals broke. Yeah, the advancement is this. This is the advancement so that the White House could put out this photo. It's like, at this stage, the only thing that the AI can not even decently do, because I think it does a job with that as well, is basically destroy the furry porn drawing community's illustrative work that they used to get every now and then. That's it. They've just wiped out those people, okay? So you can get the piss orange colored, orange patina, fake generative AI. Great. What did we get in return for it? What did we get in return for it? A bunch of pissed off furries. That's what we got on the one hand, okay? And you don't want to piss those guys off. But then also on the other hand, you got entire ecosystems being destroyed. What are we supposed to do about AI? Isn't the same neolib narrative is trying to get people to recycle? I mean, I'm not even talking about it at the point of like the individual consumer decisions. So no, I'm not even bringing it back to the consumers. I just personally don't like it. Okay, that's just my opinion. I don't like it. I think it's making people stupid. And not only is it making people stupid with cognitive offloading, I think it's also making people insane. Great. Do you know people who use AI actually? Yes. And I sometimes think less of them. I'm not going to lie. Like when I'll meet somebody and if I see them like ripping a ChatGPT question, I'm like, oh no. It's like, oh man, that makes me